Hello everyone, my name is Avin Singh. I'll be taking physics for DMLT and paramedical courses. So in this session, we'll study the chapter 3. It is chapter 3 of physics. Chapter 3 of physics, that is fluid dynamics and mechanics. Fluid dynamics and mechanics. Okay. So this is part 1 of the chapter number 3. Already chapter 1 and chapter 3, chapter 1 and chapter 2 has been completed. If you have not watched, you can go to the playlist and watch it. Okay, let us begin with the question number 1. That is, it says define. It says define atmospheric pressure. Define atmospheric pressure. Define atmospheric pressure. Explain with formula and explain with formula. So let us discuss this question. Okay. Okay. In simple words, atmospheric pressure means, okay, uh, air around us is having particular weight. Okay, it presses everything which is in contact with it. Okay, it presses us and other materials which is in contact with us. Okay, in general sense, in general, pressure means force per unit area is nothing but pressure. Let us write the definition of it. Okay, let us write the definition. That is atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure, sometimes called as barometric pressure. Sometimes called as barometric pressure. That is force per unit area is called, that is force per unit area. Pressure is equal to force per unit area. This is barometric pressure. So within the earth, right? So basically the pressure exerted by air around us within the atmosphere is called atmospheric pressure. Let us write the definition of this. That is, this is the formula of pressure. The actual definition is the pressure exerted by an atmosphere. The pressure exerted by an atmosphere is called atmospheric pressure. Is called an atmospheric pressure. Is called an atmospheric pressure at STP. That is, at STP means standard temperature pressure. Okay, the value of atmospheric pressure is the value of atmospheric pressure is, it is 1.01 into 105 Newton meter, that is 20 into 21.01 into 105 Newton meter square. Newton meter Newton per meter square. This is the atmospheric pressure. Okay, it can be expressed in several different systems. That is, it can be expressed in uh, that is pounds per square inch or dyne per square. Let us write some of the other units such as millimeters. It can be used in millimeters, that is mm, or it can be used in uh, mercury, or you can say pounds per inch. pounds per inch, and it can be used in several such as dynes per square, dyne, dyne per square centimeter, dyne per square centimeter, or millibar, etc. These are the other units of atmospheric pressure. Okay, next point is atmospheric pressure decreases with increase in height. That is, pressure decreases. That is, pressure decreases with increase in height. That is, it decreases around 3.5 millibar per 30 meters. It decreases 3.5 millibar millibar per uh, per 30 meters, 30 meters, or you can say 100 feet, or you can say 100 feet. Okay, and next point is it is also measured in torque. This pressure is also measured in torque, that is torque, where 1 torque is equal to 1 mm of mercury column, where 1 torque is equal to 1 mm, 1 mm of the mercury, 1 mm of the mercury column. Okay, the unit of pressure is used in meteorological purposes is called bar. The unit of the unit of pressure used for meteorological purposes meteorological purpose is bar. Okay, okay, it is also called as bar. Okay. The formula of pressure is P is equal to F by A. This is the general formula of pressure, that is force by area. F, where F is where F where F is force applied on the body, where F is force applied on the body, and A is total area of the object. A is total area of the object. Total area of the object is called force per area. Force by area is called pressure. Hydrostatic pressure can be calculated by given formula, that is hydrostatic pressure formula. Pressure formula can be given by, it is given below, that is pressure, that is P is equal to rho into G into H. This is the hydrostatic pressure of the hydrostatic pressure. That is where H is height, where H is height, rho is density, where rho is density, and G is gravity, and G is gravity of the earth. This gravity. Okay. Uh, Let us write the last point on this is pressure formula. It is pressure formula. Pressure formula. That is pressure formula is made use to compute pressure. This formula used to made to compute the pressure, that is made use to compute pressure. Compute pressure. That is pressure, comma force, comma area, comma density, comma height, and gravity. We can calculate all this quantity with the help of pressure formula. Okay, some of these numericals are provided that we can calculate the unit of pressure. That is the unit of the last point is the most important point is the unit of pressure is Pascal. The unit of pressure is SI unit of pressure is Pascal. Okay. Next one, we'll move on to the next question, that is define Pascal's law and explain the applications of hydraulics. Next question is question number 2. Question number 2 says define Pascal's law. Define Pascal's law and explain the application in hydraulics. Explain the application in hydraulics. Explain its application in hydraulics. Hydraulics. Okay, let us discuss this question. Yeah, Pascal law states that when an external static pressure is applied on a confined liquid, it distributes and transmits the one second. Okay, the external static pressure applied on a confined liquid is distributed and transmitted evenly throughout the liquid in all directions. Let us write the definition of this. That is the external static pressure. The external static pressure. The external static pressure applied on a confined liquid. Applied on a confined liquid. Applied on a confined liquid is distributed or transmitted. Is distributed or transmitted. Is distributed or transmitted evenly throughout the liquid in all directions. Evenly throughout the liquid in all directions. Throughout the liquid in all directions. Let us repeat this definition. That is, the external static pressure applied on a confined liquid is distributed or transmitted evenly throughout the liquid in all directions. Okay. The formula for the Pascal law is, that is, F is equal to pressure into area. This is exactly this force is derived from this formula. That is, pressure is equal to force by area, right? So therefore, force is equal to pressure into area. Simple. This has been taken from this. Okay, where F is force, where F is force applied, where F is equal to force applied, P is equal to pressure, P is equal to pressure, and A is area of cross section. Area of cross section. Okay, let us move on to the next one, that is application of Pascal's law. This application of Pascal's principle. Pascal's principle, application of Pascal and hydraulic system and hydraulics system. So this is the application. This is the application of hydraulics. Let us let us write something about hydraulics. That is hydraulic system. That is hydraulic, one second, hydraulic, hydraulic system, hydraulic system are used to are used to operate, operate automotive brakes. These are used to operate automotive brakes, automotive brakes, or hydraulic jacks, or hydraulic jacks, or you can say numerous other mechanical system. And this hydraulic system is used in numerous other mechanical system, other mechanical system. Okay. Uh, so this is the diagram of hydraulic system. As you can see here, this is one second. Okay, as you can see in this diagram, there are two cylinders filled with fluid, and this blue color represents fluid. Okay, here, as you can see, the force F1 is applied on the left cylinder. This is left cylinder, and this is a right cylinder, and this is piston. This is piston, and this also, you can see, this is right cylinder which contains piston. Okay, this is piston. If you apply force on the left piston of the first cylinder, this is a small cylinder, it it transmits the same pressure to the right cylinder. Okay, the pressure will be same, but the force will be increased in the second cylinder due to results because of the area. Okay, let us repeat once again. This is the left cylinder, this is the left cylinder, and this is the right cylinder. Okay, this is piston. Okay, and this is also piston. If you are applying a force on this first left piston, it will transmit the it will transmit equal amount of pressure in all direction. Okay, this is the law, this is law of Pascal, right? So whatever pressure you apply in the left one, it will be transmitted to the right one. This law of principle of Pascal says equal amount of pressure will be transmitted, but the force will be increased because of the increase in area. Okay, this is the simple logic behind. This is a simple principle behind the Pascal's law. The pressure will be same in these two, but the force will be increased in the second cylinder, that is right cylinder, due to the area of the piston, or you can say area of the cylinder. Let us write few points on this. Okay, so according to according to Pascal's law, Pascal's according to the Pascal law, or you can say Pascal's principle, the pressure is transmitted undiminished. The pressure is transmitted undiminished. The pressure is transmitted undiminished throughout the fluid, throughout the fluid, throughout the fluid, and to all the walls of the container, and to all the walls of container. Okay. Thus pressure P2, pressure P2 is felt at the other end, is felt at the other end other end is is equal to P1. That is, we can say, see, Pascal's law said that pressure, whatever the pressure you apply on the first piston, will be same as the equal amount of pressure will be transmitted to the second piston. This is the statement, right? But the force here, uh, here in the second cylinder, here in this cylinder, the force will be increased much greater than the first one, because of increase in area in the second cylinder. There is an increase in area, right? So area and pressures are related. If there is an increase in area, there will be ultimately increase in pressure. Okay. Well, let us write the equation on this. Okay. Equation is, we can say that if P1 is equal to P2. This is according to the Pascal's law. P1 is equal to P2. Therefore, we can say that F1 by F1 by A1 is equal to F2 by A2. Okay, or we can also write like this: F1 is equal to F2 by A2 into A1. This is the force applied on a pistol. Okay, this is the complete information about the question number 2. Let us move to the next question. Sorry, next application. Okay, this is another application of Pascal's law, that is hydraulic brakes. This is hydraulic brakes. Let us learn about this. See, a person or a driver applying a particular force, that is, in this example, we can say 100 Newton. He is applying a force on this due to the principle of Pascal's law. We can say that equal amount of pressure will be exerted on these two, we can say, cylinders, due to these two cylinders. So there will be equal pressure upon this. So if P1 will be equal to P2, that is, pressure will be applied on these two cylinder will be same. Then we can say that F1 by A1 is equal to F2 by A2. See, whatever the force applied on by the driver will be equal to the equal pressures applied on these two cylinders. Okay. By simple relation, we can give this: F1 by A1 is equal to F2 by A2. Right. The pressure exerted on these two cylinder will be same. We can also measure the force exerted on these two cylinders by using this formula, that is F1 by A1 is equal to F2 by A2. Let us move on to the next question, that is question number 3. Define osmosis, diffusion, and convection. Okay, question number 3 says, describe osmosis, describe osmosis, diffusion, and convection. And convection. Let us discuss all these, okay, one by one. First one we'll discuss about osmosis. Osmosis. Okay. Osmosis is the process by which plants get water from the soil with the help of semi-permeable membrane, whereas in case of diffusion, plants get water directly from the soil. Okay. In other definition of diffusion is the flow of energy from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Let us write the few points on the osmosis. Osmosis is the process. Osmosis is the process. Osmosis is the process by which plants or plant get water from the from the soil by the help of by the help of semi-permeable membrane. By the help of semi-permeable permeable semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane. Okay. Okay. Next point in this is in case of diffusion. In case of diffusion. In case of diffusion, the plants get water directly from the soil. The plants get directly water from the soil. From the soil. Okay. Uh, the definition, the proper definition of diffusion is, it is like the definition of diffusion. Diffusion. Here, diffusion means, okay, the diffusion is the flow of energy from higher concentration to the lower concentration. It is the flow of energy from higher concentration to the higher concentration to the lower concentration. Okay, diffusion is the process of it is a flow of energy from higher concentration to the lower concentration. It is a simple definition of diffusion. Okay, we'll write definition of diffusion. That is another definition. That is diffusion is the movement of molecules. Diffusion is the movement of molecules. Is the movement of molecules from a region of from a region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. From the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Okay, we can write also like this. It is a diffusion is the movement of molecules from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Okay, so let us learn the factors affecting diffusion. We'll write some factors. Next point is factors affecting diffusion. Factors affecting diffusion. First one is temperature. Second one is area of interaction. Area of interaction. Third one is size of particle. Size of the particle. And the last one is fourth one is the steepness of the concentration gradient. The fourth one is the steepness of the concentration gradient. Concentration gradient. Okay, these are the factors affecting diffusion. The first one is temperature. Second one is area of interaction. Third one is size of the particle. And the fourth one is steepness of the concentration gradient. These are the four factors affecting diffusion. Let us look at some of the examples of diffusion. Examples of diffusion. Okay, let us write the first example, that is a tea bag immersed in a cup of hot water will diffuse into water and change its color. That is a tea bag immersed in a cup immersed immersed in a cup of hot water. Cup of hot water, okay, will diffuse into the will diffuse will diffuse into the water will diffuse into the water and changes its color and changes its color. Okay, the tea bag immersed in a cup of hot water will diffuse into the water and changes its color. Okay, the next example is a spray of perfume or a room freshener will get diffused into the air by which we can sense the odor. A spray a spray of perfume a spray of perfume or room room freshener will get diffused will get will get diffused into the air will get diffused into the air by which we can sense the odor by which we can sense the odor by which we can sense the odor. Next one is sugar get dissolved evenly and the sweetness of the water within the uh, uh, sweetness of the water having the stir it. That is sugar gets dissolved evenly. Sugar get dissolved evenly and the and sweetens sweetens the water sweetens the water without having it to stir it without having to stir it to stir it. These are some of the examples of diffusion. Let us move on to the third one, that is convection. The third one is convection. Convection is a process of heat transfer by the bulk movement of molecules within the fluid, such as gases or liquids. Let us write the definition of convection. Convection, that is, convection is the process. Convection is the process of heat transfer. Heat. It is a process of heat transfer by the by the bulk movement of by the bulk movement of by the bulk movement of molecules within the fluids. Bulk movement of molecules within fluids such as such as gases and liquids such as gases and liquids. Let us repeat the definition of convection. Convection is the process of heat transfer by the bulk movement of molecules within the fluid, such as gases or liquids. Okay. The initial heat transfer between the object and the fluid takes place through the conduction, but the bulk heat transfer happens through the motion of fluid. Okay. The convection is the process of heat transfer in the fluid by the actual motion of matter. This convection happens by the actual motion of matter. This is the actual motion of matter. So this is the actual motion of matter. It happens in liquids and gases. This convection happens in both liquid and gases. Okay, and it may be natural or forced, and this convection can be natural or forced or forced. Okay, uh, let us write the formula for this. So as we all know that it involves the bulk transfer of portion of the fluid. The equation can be calculated the rate of convection as follows. That is Q is equal to HCA T hot, temperature of hot, minus T cold. Okay. Here Hc is the heat transfer coefficient. Here Hc is the heat transfer heat transfer coefficient. Heat transfer coefficient. Okay. Where is Q is the heat transfer per unit area. Sorry, heat transfer per unit time. Heat transfer per unit. It is the heat transfer per unit time, and A is area. And A is area. So this is the formula of convection. Let us move on to the next one, that is types of convection. Next one is types of convection. Basically, there are two types of convection. First one is natural convection, and the second one is forced convection. We'll discuss one by one. First one is natural convection. Natural convection. Okay. Here, natural convection means when the convection takes place due to the buoyant force, when the convection takes place due to buoyant when the convection takes place due to the buoyant force, as there is a difference in densities, as there is a difference in densities as there is a difference in densities caused by difference in temperature caused by difference in temperature caused by difference in temperature is known as natural convection is known as natural convection is known as natural convection. Okay, natural convection is a when the convection takes place due to the buoyant force, as there is a difference in densities caused by difference in temperature. Some of the examples of this are, the first example is natural convection are oceanic winds. Are oceanic winds is an example of natural convection. Okay, let us move to the next one, that is forced convection. Second one is forced convection. Forced forced convection. Here, for convection means an external source such as fans, and external source such as fans and pumps, fans and pumps are are used for creating induced convection. creating induced convection, or creating used for induced convections, are used for creating induced convection is known as forced convection. Is known as forced convection. Known as force convection. Therefore, let us repeat the definition of force convection. Here, force convection means when the external source, such as fans and pumps, are used for creating induced convection, is known as force convection. Example you can write as, okay. Example for this are, you can say that for using water heater, using water heater or geyser or geysers for instant heating of water, for instant heating of water, instant heating of water. Or you can also write the second one, that is in summer we use fan for instant cooling, right? Or we can also write it using fans on the summer days, using fans in summer is an example of forced convection. Okay, forced convection when external source such as fans, pumps are used for creating induced convection, are known as forced convection. Using water heater or geyser for instant heating of water is known as a forced convection. Or you can say using fans is an example of forced convection. This is the complete information about the question number 3. Let us move on to the next one.